Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. I thought we'd do things a little bit different. In this one, I want to show you the design process of how I came up with the contraption that this video is about. It is a no-fuel food cooker, and of course the premise here is that we have the campfire in Minecraft 1.14 and we can use that to cook food without having to use any coal or other types of fuel. So the question is, how do we automate this? As you can see, hoppers can't put items into the campfire. They also can't take them out as well. I've put a couple of items on here. They don't go into the hopper down below. The player also can't take off any items using an empty hand as well. So once they're on there, they'll stay there for 30 seconds until they're cooked. If you break the campfire, it does actually drop back those items. And after 30 seconds, the items are going to pop off like this. As you can see, they go in a random direction from the campfire each time. And there is a total of 9 food items that can be cooked in the campfire. We have 7 of the raw food items, then we have potatoes and kelp. So the premise is rather simple. We're going to have an array of campfires and we're going to move side to side in order to place them. The problem with this is, as you can see, we only get to put 1 item on each campfire, sometimes 2, and that's because we move way too fast. So if we hold down shift to slow it down, when you're holding down shift you can't actually right click on the campfire to place items on it. Now we can use soul sand, but as you'll see, even though it slows us down, we're still a little bit too fast. We get 2 or 3 onto each of these campfires, but we don't fill them up with the 4 items they can hold. If we put ice underneath the soul sand, that'll make us move even slower. But then this is, unfortunately, painfully slow. So let's forget about movement speed for just a moment. We're going to put hoppers underneath the campfire to collect the items. And the idea is when they pop off, they'll hit these blocks and fall back down onto the campfire. Now the campfire isn't a full block, which means the hopper underneath will then pick up the item once it's side in the world, because of course it doesn't interact with the campfire itself. And if you haven't seen this before, if I throw items on top of this half slab, you'll see the hopper can pick it up. So rather quickly I learned this wasn't the best of ideas. As you can see, the items can pop out from the side, but a fair few of them do get collected in the chest here. So that led me to place some half slabs like this to reduce the possibility, which the half slabs didn't. But at this point I was still thinking that we would be standing alongside the campfire like this. What we're actually going to end up doing is standing above the campfire and looking downwards. That means that we're going to use full blocks here so that all the items pop off and then land on the campfire. But I learned it is actually possible for the items to pop off diagonally down into this space here. So not only do we need a block alongside the campfire and above it so items don't land on top of this block, we will also need them down here next to the hoppers. So the smoke particles can be a bit much, and if we put some stairs like this, we can stop them from going too high up into the world around us, and we can also look down through this gap, which allows us to place the items down like this, and then we'll know when they're cooked, all of them will get collected and put into the chest. And at this point, this might be the design that you would be happy with. You can come over here and cook a whole bunch up at once and then walk away and know that all of them will end up inside of a chest. But remember, we are trying to automate this, which means that we could step away from the computer and leave this running, and so I turned to water streams, which have unfortunately been changed. If I just drop down into here, you'll see we move faster when there is more water, and then we get slowed down the less water there is, and this isn't really effective for what I'm looking for. But you can see how this design works. When we hit the pressure plate at one end, it switches up the dispensers, so this means we can just go back and forth over and over again, and when the campfires are empty, we fill them back up. But that's not good enough, and sometimes you get the wrong ideas stuck in your mind when you're creating something, and that is to get the right speed for getting 4 items onto each of these campfires. We can actually just go overkill and go back and forth over and over again, which is what a minecart would do consistently. Now when you're inside the minecart, you have to have a little bit of faith, but if you right click in the right spot, you can see the hands there moving over on the side. So now when we get this minecart going, I am constantly placing items down onto the campfires, and this is exactly what we're looking for. You can see as they start to fill out, the hand isn't moving as much. And that is because the campfires are getting filled up with food. And the problem there is that eventually we will run out of the food that we are holding, and so we need to get new food to the player. And the best way that I could think of doing this is by giving the player an item each time a cooked item makes its way through these hoppers into the chest. So that means we need to create a redstone signal for each item that comes through here. So with this redstone torch, we are locking the hopper below it, and we are also waiting to find out when an item goes inside of it, and then we use a little clock here to create a signal that also unlocks that torch. So every time an item passes through here, we create a signal. That signal is sent up to this dropper. From the opposite side, the dropper can be fed our stash of items that we want cooked. Now the reason that we have this set up with the water is so that the items will come up into here, they will flow out, hit the trapdoor, land on this track where we can pick up the items. The reason we use the water is because the random nature of the dropper dispensing items means sometimes it will fly over the top, underneath, or to either of the sides. And because I'm recording, it's just not going to do it right now, is it? Oh. Hey, there we go. 2 of them flew over the top, and that's of course what we don't want, because then they'll be wasted. And with all of that shown, we've now reached the point where the design is basically done and ready to go. You can see an example here of it in action. I'm just going back and forth. Whenever one of the campfires frees up, you'll see the arm move, and in goes the pork chop, and then of course as they come out of the system when they're cooked, we get distributed the new ones to put back in. Another factor to consider is that when you're in survival mode, you have to manage your inventory, but it turns out this is just going to be super simple, because every time you get given new pork chops, it means there's a space down here for them to be placed inside of, so you don't have to worry about the pork chops spilling over or ending up in the wrong slot. As long as you just got a free space like this, you'll always be able to place down the pork chops. Now before we jump into a tutorial, there is one last point to hit on, and that is how many campfires should you have in your array. I have done some crude maths and some testing, and I believe that it is about 18 campfires in total. If you have more than this, then the drops from them will start to back up inside of the hopper, which would be ineffective, but it wouldn't really break anything either. So 18 campfires is what I recommend. Now I also thought about this, and I realized that you could essentially flip the design and build this mirrored going in the other direction and have another 18 campfires. So then you would have hoppers going in the opposite direction down to that end, and then you could double the amount that you have in total. So if you want to do that, that would be 36 in total. Now for the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build this bit over here, because the rest of it should be pretty obvious, right? This is what you got, a line of hoppers, a campfire, and basically if you just copy what you're looking at there, you can build most of the array. So where the last campfire is, we will use as a reference point. It is below here that we're going to place our redstone. We will have a comparator on subtract mode, 2 repeaters, and 7 pieces of redstone. As you can see, all the things you need are in my hotbar. And then we're going to place down these pieces of redstone like so. The torch is going to go on the end of this block to lock the hopper. Some redstone will go on top of here. And then we need quite a few blocks in this area, so we'll just do this a step at a time. We're putting this one here to break the redstone that comes up to the side and points in that direction. And it needs to point into a block that will be placed here. So above this redstone we will place a dropper facing upwards, and you can see it gets powered by that redstone on the side. We then need to surround this with blocks on all sides like so, and above as well, because it's going to shoot the items up. And then over here we'll place 2 hoppers, and then above this hopper a chest which you can fill up with all the drops for the things that you want cooked. We then need to place the trapdoor. Best way to do this is to have a temporary block stand above it and just put it on the edge there, so when you open it, it's inside of this block here, meaning the water we're about to place won't flow out of it. And then of course you need your rail down below and the block at the end, so you'll come over here and go back again. And that, I believe, is just about everything there is to know. One last thing that comes to mind is that you can use this with an AFK clicker, and it just so happens the one I featured on my recent fishing farm video is compatible with this as well. So if you want to leave the computer and just have a macro holding down right click for you as you go back and forth cooking all of your food, then go and check out that video. There'll be a link on the screen. And anyway, that's the end of the video. So if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like as always. Thank you for doing that. Your support is appreciated. And leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this format where I show you a little bit more about how the design comes together. It'd be nice to know. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.